We have breaking news as the Minnesota Vikings have finally done it. They have finally extended Kwesi Adofo-Mensah to a multi-year contract, keeping him and Kevin O'Connell in this lineup for years to come. We're going to talk about that, as well as a very interesting trade name that has been thrown out there that the Vikings should go ahead and make. And fans are going to be split about this, but we have a lot to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. As I mentioned, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has been extended for multiple years to come, locking up our core coaching staff as well as GM here. We're going to be breaking it all down in this video. Very quickly before we jump into it, be sure to hit the sub button if you haven't already, and you're looking for your Minnesota Vikings news. We know that just over 90% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel, and ladies and gentlemen, we have so much to bring you, so be sure to go and do so. We'll have all of your Vikings news for you as it happens, just like this, and let's get straight into it. No more wasting time. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah signed a multi-year contract extension last night. The two sides have been working on the extension for weeks. This offseason, the Vikings now signed both Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and head coach Kevin O'Connell to multi-year deals, and it feels like we've been waiting for the one final piece for this team, and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah was that final piece. Now being locked up secures us with this future for years to come, and this is exactly what Vikings fans have wanted. We've wanted to see Kwesi here, wanted to see Kevin here. The way that these two have made this team turn around over these past few seasons has been nothing but phenomenal, and we're seeing this team getting better and better every year, and this is another example of what we needed to see for the Vikings to get this Super Bowl. After what we did last season, after getting Jaire McCarthy, after going ahead, building a stellar team in this offseason, Kwesi has been extended. Now, I do have a few quotes here as well. One from Mark Wilf, the owner, which we're going to touch on right here now. Kwesi's leadership, vision, and collaboration with our coaching staff has positioned the Minnesota Vikings for sustained success. His dedication and forward-thinking approach have been instrumental in shaping our roster and future, and we are confident that under the guidance of him and Kevin O'Connell, we will continue to compete at the highest level as we pursue a championship for the Vikings. And Mark Wilf comes out, I think, saying exactly what every Minnesota Vikings fan has been thinking, exactly what everybody has wanted to see for years. This team have a foresight on the future, looking at not just now, not just years to come, but years and years to come. This team has been made around Jaire McCarthy, built around Jaire McCarthy, going ahead, signing these extensions for players that we've needed to see, and building a championship caliber team. I think it's now just a matter of time until we actually see it. But we do have some more ones here. Another bit of information regarding our GM, or I should say GMs now. The Vikings are also promoting Ryan Grigson and Demetrius Washington, two assistant general managers per Tom Pelissero. And Tom Pelissero extending on this, saying that Grigson and Washington have been Kwesi Adolfo's top lieutenant since he got to Minnesota, and now a new contract for Cam and new titles for his guys. And I think that this was part of the deal that needed to happen for Kwesi to go ahead and extend. He's been saying that he couldn't do it with the guys around him. He couldn't do it without the guys around him, with Kevin O'Connell, with this coaching staff. And I think that Kwesi has really made that clear to the ownership of this team that, these guys need to be here with me if I'm going to be able to do this. And regardless of whose decision is what, where things come from, this is the ultimate best result for the Minnesota Vikings here when it comes down to wanting and needing to see this team succeed. And, as I mentioned, it's finally time that we saw this come down to being official, being done, having the deal sealed. We've been waiting for it, and now we get to see it. And, I feel like now Vikings fans can really take that deep breath here in this offseason, really go, that's the one piece that we were waiting for. Of course, there's probably going to be a few more little moves here now until the beginning of the season, but when it comes down to it, Kwesi was the big one that we were really hoping for at this point, and as he mentioned, he wanted to focus on the Vikings before himself at free agency, and he did that, and ultimately, that was, just such a great move of him. He is a phenomenal GM, a phenomenal person. I'm very excited to have him here for years to come. Now, going to the player side of things, we do have a very interesting report breaking down a trade that the Vikings are supposed to be trying to make with a rival Green Bay Packers squad. And I want to pull this up here from Cody Benjamin of CBS Sports. He suggested the Vikings are a possible team at the trade destinations for the Green Bay Packers star cornerback Jaire Alexander. And when he thinks the Alexander will remain with the Packers, he also name-dropped the Vikings as a possible landing spot. Now, when it comes down to looking at Jaire Alexander as a possible option, I think this is a very, very long shot, but one that I think a lot of Vikings fans would love to see. And now, of course, having him a rival on this team is not going to be something that we haven't seen before. Of course, Aaron Jones on the team first year with the Vikings last year, a former Green Bay Packer. We saw how much he adjusted to Minnesota, loved Minnesota, and I think the same would go for Jaire Alexander here with Kevin O'Connell and with Brian Flores. Now, as the article said, it is going to be a long shot, and the Vikings definitely would love to try and get him. However, it's very, very possible that the Packers are not going to trade him at all. And he's struggled to stay on the field the past few seasons with a few injuries, and I think that's a big part of the idea of it as well, as the hesitancy from multiple players and teams that are going to be kind of looking at Jaire Alexander. But when we look at this cornerback room, there is another spot that we have to fill. And reports have come out, and we've been mentioning this, near the end of free agency when that all kind of was winding down, that Shaq Griffin, that Stephon Gilmore are both options to be added to this team. Two players that were on the Vikings last year, but just to fill out this lineup are still going to be options going forward. Now, they did get a guy like Jeff Okudah and Isaiah Rodgers here in free agency, and of course, re-signing Byron Murphy Jr. was the big thing here. Mekhi Blackmon staying healthy this year is going to be another key part, but still, you want to have depth. You want to have the ability to go out here and make a very, very big cornerback room that will be able to stay alive, stay afloat if you see one or two players go down. And I think that's something right now that exactly the Vikings are not too great with. I feel like there is that option that we will see someone here go out, get injured, and I don't want to say that. I really, really hate to say that, but it's such a common thing nowadays that we see some defensive players go down. Safety and secondaries are usually kind of the safer idea, but still, it's a very big risk of having someone go down and not having enough players to come out here and go and build a cornerback room that will be fine if someone goes down. So I think that's why, there's a lot of people coming about these reports saying that, Jeff Okudah, saying that Jaire Alexander is a good option here. And of course he would be. It is a bold one, but certainly would be nice to add someone. And I'd still be okay with a guy like Shaq Griffin with Stephon Gilmore to be able to build this team up and have it down. But, as the reports have been saying, when we were going ahead here and looking at Jaire Alexander, the last few seasons, 7 games each season, 16 the year before, 4 in the game before. Season before, struggled to stay on the field due to injuries, but he's still, regardless of if he's been healthy or not, he's been very, very good throughout his time on the field, and that's been the big concern, is staying on the field. So I want to know what you think about Jaire Alexander here. Do you think this is an option? Of course, it's a very bold one, if at all, but the Vikings need to go get ahead and make this, and, the Vikings, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, aren't afraid of making bold moves, so there is that to kind of consider here when looking at this deal. But let me know what you think about that, as well as Kwesi Adofo-Mensah signing this major extension. That's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. I'm signing out. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.